A very good evening and welcome to this week's edition of the program Times Exclusive, airing on Times Network. My name is Brian Banda. Thank you for finding time to join us tonight in this edition of the program. I'm highly privileged tonight to have the Right Honorable Atupele Muluzi, President of the United Democratic Front, UDF, and running mate for DPP-UDF Alliance in the forthcoming presidential elections.
I love brilliant green on my walls. I love signal red, sweet lime, electric blue. I just love golden yellow.
You get all that and more at Rainbow Paints. Imagine a water-based paint that is water-resistant. Imagine a paint that is absolutely washable to remove dirt. And it guarantees you 10,000 cleaning scrubs over its lifespan without losing its luster. There can only be one paint that does just that, and that paint is acrylic sheen. Get yours today at all leading hardware stores. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
Right Honorable Atupele Muluzi, we're not shaking hands tonight, but I'm profoundly honored and privileged that amidst the heavy schedule that you have in this campaign period, you have been very kind enough to give us an hour for this edition of the program. For that, I'm very, very grateful. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Brian, and the pleasure is all mine. It's always a pleasure coming before Times to be able to communicate to Malawians.
Once again, thank you.
Thank you.
We are meeting right in the midst of campaign, but let's rewind and go back to the 2019 elections, which were nullified by the courts. You are now on a campaign trail. How do you remember 2019?
Well, Brian, I joined this administration in 2014.
Yeah.
At a time when the country and its economy was broken by Cashgate. We had inflation, we're hovering around 50%. We had interest rates around 27%. We had a very volatile kwacha, and we also had challenges with foreign exchange. And added to that, we also had businesses that were struggling to get access to capital. Mm-hmm. We've also, during that period, been able to, as a part of that administration, we were able to reduce interest rates to around 15%, and they keep coming down. We've also managed to control inflation to around single digits. We also were able, during the same period, to resume the confidence of our donor partners. As you know, Cashgate, during that period, we lost a lot of support from development partners in terms of direct budget support. We saw a resumption of that in the past 5 years. During that period as well, we've been able to bring confidence, especially from our international partners. For example, the IMF, World Bank, the African Development Bank have been consistently, year after year, making statements that Malawi has been doing very well in terms of economic governance. So there's been a lot that has been achieved within the 5 years as part of the administration. And also, we also demonstrated to Malawians that we have the resilience and the capacity to deal with headwinds, challenges. Mm. For example, we had Cashgate that I've spoken about. We also had floods. We also had Hurricane Idai. We had periods of drought. And also we have had the post-election violence that you've now spoken about, which have had a huge impact on the lives of Malawians. As you know, the last 11 months have been very difficult for many Malawians. As you know, the demonstrations were violent in many places. Government and private property was destroyed. We had women and vendors being attacked and harassed. We saw police officers being attacked, even killed. We saw police office buildings being burnt. This has been a very exceptional period of violent demonstrations. But despite all that, we have seen a government that has been able to continue to protect and provide for Malawians. Our kwacha remains one of the most stable in sub-Saharan Africa. Our economy actually was projected to grow this year by 7%. And now we're faced with the coronavirus. And therefore, the government continues to respond with respect to making sure that we're protecting Malawians and we're providing. So despite these challenges and the headwinds that the government and administration has faced, I remain optimistic that we will be able to grow our economy and be able to provide for all Malawians.
We'll talk about the nitty-gritty of what you have just said in your opening remarks there in a moment. But for our viewers, if you win this coming 23 June, I'm probably talking to the possibility of you becoming our vice president if you win are there.
The chances are very high of winning, Brian. Very, very high.
You're talking as a politician, I'm talking as a journalist.
Absolutely.
Let's go back to the agreement, the alliance that you have with the DPP. How did you welcome the fact that President Mutharika has taken you on board as his running mate and to be vice president if you win on June 23?
When we win, I really believe we're going to win these elections.
You're saying?
I really believe. In fact, Brian, the President, His Excellency the President, Professor Atupele Muluzi, won the previous elections. I really believe he did win. Of course, in a democratic society, where we also have institutions.
Those elections were nullified by the court.
Of course, of course.
They never took place.
Of course.
Yeah.
Those were nullified.
Yeah.
But I do believe that he won the elections. Despite the irregularities, I do believe he does enjoy a tremendous support.
Do you realize that if those elections were not nullified,
yeah,
you could have not been on the campaign trail today?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I immediately, the president was declared the winner. I congratulated His Excellency the President and attended his inauguration. But we have demonstrated to Malawians that we have an independent judiciary that is able to discharge its responsibilities. And quite rightly so, my colleagues in the other side were able to challenge the results. And it's beautiful to find the fact that we have institutions that are working. And as a result of that, the election results were nullified. But that does not take away from the fact that I believe the president does enjoy tremendous support throughout the whole country.
Do you agree with those that are saying that you are a beneficiary of a nullified election?
I wouldn't say necessarily a beneficiary. I think what has happened here, just like any other election, you cannot have a perfect election. You will get challenges in every election. Mm-hmm. But what has happened here is that my colleagues on the other side were able to demonstrate their abilities to present their case before the courts, and their prayer was granted, and we're going to have fresh elections, which I do believe the president enjoys tremendous support throughout the whole country. And I believe he's going to win. And you've asked me the question is how I've received the fact that I'm his running mate. As you know, as I've said before, I joined this administration in 2014 and worked very closely with His Excellency the President in cabinet for 5 years consecutively in various ministerial roles. And this administration has been able to deliver. And I think there's a lot of good things that have gone on. We have shown resilience despite the many headwinds and challenges that this country is faced with. Our economy has remained stable. The kwacha, as I've said, is one of the most stable currencies in sub-Saharan Africa. And we have seen interest rates come down to around 15%. We've seen inflation come down to single digits and still coming down despite all the challenges. And I'm proud of that, to have worked with His Excellency the President. And I'm continuously also proud to have been given the opportunity to serve in future in this new role. And my commitment is to the people of Malawi. And of course, I'm also loyal and a committed member of the team. I'm somebody who does not require to have the ego massaged. I've worked with His Excellency the President. And by the way, I believe he's a fantastic leader. I believe he's a great mind, someone I respect and someone I care for. And I think is someone that really holds a key to the future of this country.
You praised the judgment when it came out through a press release. You spoke very good things about the judgment. Do you still maintain that stand today?
Absolutely.
You do?
Absolutely, because it means our institutions are working. We have an independent judiciary. It's a win for democracy. As you know, the UDF...
But President Mutharika is attacking the judgment.
Well, it doesn't mean, therefore, that we necessarily have to agree with the determination of the courts in terms of... It doesn't mean you can't question. It doesn't mean that legal minds cannot try to interpret or question or disagree with a judgment. Absolutely. But what we think is that the fact that we, in the present day Malawi, we have a scenario where we're able to have an independent judiciary is a win for democracy. It's a win for human rights. It's a win for Malawi. And it shows that our institutions are working. But with respect to the elections, do I believe the President, Professor Atupele Muluzi, did not win those elections? No, I do not. I believe he won those elections.
And I'm telling you that the court says we didn't have an election.
Yes. Because
so which election are you referring to?
No, I'm referring to the fact that I believe the president was duly elected. However...
2014?
Yeah, 2019. However, what I'm saying is that on the flip side, the election itself was wrought with irregularities that were quite glaring. I don't think the Electoral Commission faulted any particular party. I think it was to do with the way the elections were conducted. And therefore, that's why we're going to the polls again. But I don't doubt the fact that
the press release that your party, the United Democratic Front, released soon after the judgment.
Yes.
You still stand by that release in which you praise the courts for doing a good job.
Absolutely. That's why I keep saying, referring to Brian, that was a party decision, not a Atupele Muluzi decision. The party is a party that believes...
So we can take Atupele out of the UDF?
No, I'm saying this is a decision of the National Executive Committee of the party. You've got to understand that you are a leader of an organization, but the organization as well has to make decisions. As a democratic party, it was extremely important to understand that we fought for human rights, we fought for democratic governance and strong institutions of government. And we praised the independence of the judiciary. We praised the boldness of the government to allow the space for contest. And I think the president needs to be commended. The fact that in the first place, which is unheard of in Africa, very, very rare, where you find a leadership that allows a contest.
He's going into these elections reluctantly. He didn't want it. The signs are there.
We are, because we believe he won the election. But the election results were contested. And that is a right. Went before the courts and the results were nullified. And we're going to fresh elections. But what we are saying is that this is a win for independent judiciary. This is a win for effective institutions. It demonstrates that we have institutions that are working. We have challenges, yes, but we have institutions that are working. A judiciary that is independent, a leadership that is allowing the democratic space. It's just unfortunate that there was violence in the process. The freedoms were taken advantage of, but we have freedoms that Malawians are enjoying. We have an independent judiciary. We have had a process where one can go and challenge an electoral result. And I think that is a win for democracy. UDF fought for democratic change, and I'm very proud.
Was your father, His Excellency, the former president, Dr. Atupele Muluzi, in the picture of organizing and negotiating the UDF-DPP alliance?
No.
Or deal, if you may call it that way?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
Not at all. As I've said, I joined the administration of President Professor Atupele Muluzi in 2014. We worked very closely for the past 5 years. We had an alliance in Parliament. The expectation last year, as we're moving towards the 2019 election, was that the DPP and the UDF would jointly fight the election together. That was expectation from our supporters and all Malawians, and of course that never transpired. So it was a natural fit. We come from the same DNA, DPP and the UDF, and I think naturally the future was that the UDF and DPP were going to be unified.
I'm asking this question, Right Honorable Muluzi, because the country's state vice president, Saulos Chilema, is consistently accusing your father of trying to undermine him on your behalf. Do you share that view or not?
It's a very strange one. It needs to be explained how that is the case. Maybe perhaps he needs to answer that question. You need to ask him that question, not me. I don't think I know what exactly he's trying to refer to.
He says that you're using your father to propel yourself for these elections.
In what way?
I don't know, but he says that he's being undermined. He feels he's being undermined, and that probably he has said it in the media. He's sending people to threaten him, to do all sorts of things.
Well, we
have you at any point discussed Saulos Chilema?
No, I have not.
As a family?
No, I have not. And that's why I'm saying he needs to explain this. And in fact, we do have an independent judiciary. These are very serious allegations. He's an individual. He can take these matters up. He knows how to deal with them. Look, he needs to answer this himself. I don't really know what the beef, if I may call it that, between him and the former president. That's the issue. Let them deal with it. I don't know what this had to do with me.
He says that you are lucky because your father is still alive, so you can get support from your father. He doesn't have a father, and there is nowhere he can go.
Yeah.
Do you think you have an upper hand in these elections because Senior Muluzi is still in the picture?
Look, it is rather unfortunate that some of us may not have parents. Some of us do have parents in our life. I'm also proud to be a father to 2 children. One boy is 12, my daughter is 9. It is part of life, and but I don't think that just because we have a parent, therefore we equate everything that we do to suggest that therefore our parents do them for us. You know very well that yes, I have been successful in some of my battles in my lifetime, but I've also failed before.
Are you your own man?
I'm my own man. That's why I'm trying to explain to you. I've had successes. I've also had my own failures. And that is what being a man is all about. I've lost elections. I've lost even a parliamentary seat, as you know. That does not therefore mean that my father had a hand in that. This is me. I'm an individual. And just like any other individual that has a parent, whether in football or in politics or in whatever society, I don't think it's right. I think it's undignified to think that Uhuru Kenyatta, for instance, is there because of who his father was, or who his father, or Ian Kama. I think, would you ask that question to Ian Kama? Would you ask the same question to Hillary Clinton? Recently, people have been talking about Barack Obama's wife, Michelle Obama, possibility of her being a possible vice president. Would you ask the same question? Would you ask the same question to Justin Trudeau, his father's prime minister?
What role is your father playing in this campaign? Is he playing any role?
No, I'm on the ground.
Advisory?
Well, not at all. In fact, I rarely speak to him. I'm on the ground every single day, crisscrossing the country. As you know, I've been to the northern region, the central, the south. It's a hard work, and I must tell you, it has taken a lot of effort on my part to reach out to communities right across the country under very difficult circumstances. And I fight my own battles.
You know that your father is facing the courts over allegations on corruption.
Yeah.
If you succeed on June 23 and become the country's vice president, would you protect him?
We have an independent judiciary, and these matters are before the courts. There's been no interference whatsoever. I've been in government for 5 years, Brian, a senior minister in the government and the partnership with the DPP. We have an independent judiciary. Even the time that I've been in cabinet, it was before the courts and the matters before the courts. And we respect the independence of the courts.
Right Honorable Atupele Muluzi, allow me to take a short break. We'll be back with you in a moment.
Thank you very much.
In case you're just joining us, this is Times exclusive, airing on Times Network. I'm joined by the Right Honorable Atupele Muluzi, President of the United Democratic Front, UDF, and running mate for DPP-UDF Alliance. We'll take a short break. We'll be back in a moment.
I love brilliant green on my walls. I love signal red, sweet lime, electric blue. I just love golden yellow.
You get all that and more at Rainbow Paints. Imagine a water-based paint that is water-resistant. Imagine a paint that is absolutely washable to remove dirt. And it guarantees you 10,000 cleaning scrubs over its lifespan without losing its luster. There can only be one paint that does just that, and that paint is acrylic sheen. Get yours today at all leading hardware stores. Rainbow Paints. Peace of mind. Part of the deal.
You're watching Times exclusive, airing on Times Network. My name is Brian Banda. We are actually in the second and the final half of the program tonight. I am privileged to have the Right Honorable Atupele Muluzi, President of the United Democratic Front, UDF, running mate to President Mutharika under the DPP-UDF banner. Honorable Muluzi is also our Minister of Energy. Welcome back to the other program.
Thank you very much.
To the other half of the program.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Muluzi, you seem to be running alone. You are a running mate to a candidate, Professor Arthur Peter Mutharika. But you seem to be the only one hitting the ground. Where is your mate in this campaign?
Well, Brian,
President Mutharika.
President, yes, he's actually. Brian, let me tell you, the president is extremely confident that we're going to win the next election. His vote is intact. His voters are ready to vote en masse for his candidature. My addition is that I'm coming in as a running mate. And as you know, we have had the Constitutional Court, the Supreme Court, uphold the question of majority to mean 50+1, and therefore we would require an additional votes to add to President Mutharika's solid votes within the DPP and his supporters. So my job is to add on the president's vote in order for us to get a decisive win. And what we are targeting is around 60% of the national vote. His votes are intact, so there's no need for him to...
What makes you think that his votes are intact and that people may not change?
I think those that have voted for the DPP and His Excellency the President, Professor Atupele Muluzi, will vote again for His Excellency the President, Professor Atupele Muluzi, because they believe in him, in his leadership, they believe in what he's done for this country and what he intends to do for the future of this country. So he's very confident.
So his absence on the campaign trail is an indication that he's confident.
Absolutely.
He doesn't need to convince people to vote for him.
Well, he's running the country. He's running the country. He's delivering, and I think it's very clear. There's no need for him to panic. He's got the numbers he needs. He's had a few rallies. He's going out there and he continuously be active in the next few days. But he's comfortable. The issue was, how do we ensure that we get over 50% on the first round? And that is where the UDF comes in.
And you're confident?
I'm very confident.
So the UDF is going to bring the...
I think so. I do believe so. We've had a resurgence of the UDF support base, now re-energized. In fact, Brian, I'll tell you, we had a huge voter apathy in the last election. And I believe the majority of those voters were UDF supporters that had expected that the UDF and the DPP would join forces towards the 2019 elections. That didn't happen, and a lot were left demoralized, disappointed, and many did not vote. And also at the same time, I do believe that the partnership has re-energized the UDF voters, and the DPP voters as well. And I really do believe that we're going towards a decisive win in the first round. No doubt about that. But
do you realize, with due respect, Honorable Muluzi, that you're only a running mate and that you're not a candidate in these elections?
Yes, I'm a running mate.
Yeah, so is it not proper for the candidate? Because others have said that this is an interview. You are selling yourself to Malawians, to say employers. So the candidate is sitting at home, and you call that confidence?
Do you think the president, His Excellency the President Muluzi, needs to sell himself? I don't believe so.
You don't think so?
Well, his track record speaks for himself. He's managed to steer the economy during very turbulent times, as I've mentioned. When he inherited when he became president, this was at the background of a damaged economy because of Cashgate. He's managed to contain the economy. The inflation was around 50%. Interest rates were at that time around 27%. He's managed to reduce his administration due to macroeconomic policies, prudent fiscal macroeconomic policies, been able to manage and steer the economy during very difficult times. And his government has also been able to withstand some of the headwinds and be able to deliver for the people of Malawi. Inflation has come down to single digit and continues to fall. And we've had interest rates hovering around 15%. This is a success. And let me also say, had it not been for the coronavirus, we would have seen this economy projected to grow this year by 7%. And by the next 5 years, I believe that Malawi would have been at middle income status. And this is testimony of his good leadership in terms of management of the economy. He's an experienced leader. And I don't think that he requires to be panicking up and down the country trying to solicit votes. I think his leadership demonstrates his ability and also protecting the lives of Malawians during very difficult times where we've had flooding, we've had drought. During Hurricane Idai, we've also had the issue of the violent demonstrations and, of course, recently the coronavirus. The president has responded, his government has responded and assisted Malawians during all these difficult times. And he is demonstrating leadership.
Yeah.
And also, he's also demonstrated to the world that he's a Democrat.
As I said, you seem to be running alone.
Yes.
And that's a fact.
Well, not quite.
You seem to be running alone. And you're only a running mate. You're not the candidate. I keep on saying that. But what about the DPP establishment? Has it received this alliance well?
Oh, absolutely. We're very united, and it's not correct.
We don't see a lot. We don't see.
There's a lot of activities.
We don't see ministers, senior party members campaigning for this.
Then you're not paying attention. There was a time, for example, at Masinta, we had 130 rallies right across the country. Senior members of the DPP. We've had the vice presidents holding rallies. His Excellency the President recently held rallies.
Would you tell our viewers that the DPP establishment has received you well?
We're working extremely well. They're colleagues of mine. I've worked with them for 5 years in cabinet, and we all are all united. We've attended rallies together. You've seen them. We are united. A united team that is very geared towards the future, making sure that we get out of the current situation, that we continue to govern, we deal decisively with the coronavirus response, we begin to grow our economy. It's a united team under a leader that is steadfast. What the president has demonstrated is leadership. He has demonstrated his ability to lead Malawi. That's in question. Despite the violent demonstrations that have characterized the last 11 to 12 months, these have been perpetuated by the opposition to try to destabilize the government. We have evidence of that.
Yeah, but these are the same demonstrations that have ushered in a new life for Malawians.
What new? Brian.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
I disagree. You are probably a beneficiary of those demonstrations.
I disagree with you. I condemn violence. To demonstrate freely in a democratic society is acceptable. To contest before the courts, independent courts, is acceptable, and there's a big win for Malawi. But I deplore and condemn the violent demonstrations that took place. Ordinary Malawians, a lot of Malawians have suffered as a result of these demonstrations. Businesses being torched, schools being burned, buildings being burned, Malawians being beaten up because of the origin, the way they come from. Taona Malawi kuzuzidwa. Kupita kulilongo pezeka kuti anthu akunena kuti amene mukuchokola chigawo chakumwera zibwererani kwanu. Anthu kumenyedwa.
I don't think that's a true reflection of what happened.
Let me explain.
Yeah.
This is where
people from the south been pushed back to go back?
Brian, maybe that's where we have a problem. You have witnessed violent demonstrations in the past 11 months. The problem when these demonstrations were going on, the media, unfortunately, were saying angry residents. We have not been calling out who has been behind these demonstrations. We have seen leaders at the forefront of the violence. We have seen leaders embracing what they call brigades. We have seen a police officer beaten to death, photographs being taken, videos being taken and shared on social media. And those leaders not even to condole these families. That officer had children. And let me finish.
Yeah.
These are violent demonstrations that have disrupted businesses. We saw investors worried, some even being chased away. We saw embassies, driving vehicles from different embassies, the United States, European Union, being stoned. We saw the US embassy, the US government issuing alerts for people not to travel to Malawi. This has been damaging for the economy and for the people of Malawi. A lot of people, innocent Malawians, have lost their businesses. I've even met these Malawians in Lilongwe, in Mzuzu, you go to Karonga, they've lost everything. These are Malawians. And we fought for multi-party democracy in this country. We did not see the violence. We condemn violence. And that's where I'm saying these were violent demonstrations and the guise of human rights.
One of the statements that you keep on saying in your campaign trail is that Malawi mavutika nthawi yaitali. What time are you referring to?
I'm not referring to say Malawi mavutika nthawi yaitali. Kunena kuti miezi 11 imene iyi.
Which 11 months?
11 months after tinangomaliza chisankho. Dao na mavuto akulo mziko muno. You can admit, Brian, it's been very bad for the country. Mende unene na kuti tagawikana dao na amalawi tukugawikana pabwera. We have seen the institutionalization of violence, stoning, even the rhetoric from some of the readers.
Not Malawi avutika under the Mutharika.
No. I'm talking about the last 11 months, 12 months. Amalawi ambili, even mubida ku Central Region tsukulalelo mugafusi bwino bwino mubida ku dowa. Kumene gogo just to belong to another political party is in the form of DPP of UDF. Akumenyerwa. A Josiah, for example, from the DPP, just went to Doha. Kumenyerwa, kugenderwa, kukapidwa. I myself,
what we have been told
traveling,
is amakagula ma national ID.
No, the information, even my photographs tinaona amabanga nsunga. Even ineo ni manyamuga kupita kufuna ukala nkulanda kudowa kufuna kundigenda. Ocha matala pase. Adin Salamkuli. It reminds me, Brian, of the MCP era. It really reminds me. Malawians were saying that the MCP has changed. What is a new MCP? What about this violence that we've witnessed? I remember as a child.
We have also seen,
I remember growing up.
Honorable Atupele Muluzi, we have also seen violence in Machinga. MCP, UTM are able to campaign in Cholo, Palombe, the stronghold of the DPP. Why is Machinga so protected that no one can come and campaign? Are you deliberately funding these
Brian,
violence so that you use them to condemn them?
You're being very, very unfair.
Okay.
This is where I think journalism needs to really improve in Malawi. You had an incident at Nselema. One incident, maybe two, maybe Baliwonde. You had an incident in Palombe that was alleged that the same individual that you're talking about was allegedly stoned. You had the whole president, the whole head of state, convoy being stoned in the central region, Kumponela. You had the whole head of state convoy being stoned in Durant. Nobody's calling this out. You've had violence for the last 11 months, and it seems to be okay. And suddenly we are the bad ones. When it happens in an area that belongs to an opposition stronghold, we say it is a DPP UDF thugs. When it happens in an MCP area, we say angry residents. We don't say MCP thugs. I have not even seen anywhere where that has been written. We have had serious incidences of violence that have taken place in this country. The anger that you may have seen also stems from the rhetoric. Some of the leaders, Akamala Nkulwa, Akunyoza, Kutukwana, so some of the residents may respond, but we are condemning violence. I have never ever been a violent individual. I have never ever condoned violence. And any incidences of and the other parties are very, very free to campaign in Machinga, in Mangochi, anywhere throughout the whole country. I continuously, in my rallies, you would never hear me attacking any political leader. I've always maintained my lines of issue-based politics.
You are
you're
also being accused, Right Honorable Muluzi, you're being accused of using the religious card to influence your campaign.
In what way?
You keep on mentioning a policeman who died in Lilongwe during violence. You have told the people that he was killed because he's a Muslim.
Brian, was a police officer not killed in Lilongwe?
But was he killed because of his faith?
Answer me the question.
I'm also asking.
No, first of all, I'll ask you the question.
No, my duty in this interview is to ask questions. So I'm not answering.
So I'm responding.
Question. No, I'm not going to answer your question.
This is not okay. Hypothetically,
yes.
The question is, was he not killed?
No, but
he was.
But
was he not a Muslim?
Honorable Muluzi.
Was he not?
The question is, was he killed because of his faith?
Brian?
Yes.
The evidence we have.
Yeah.
Let me now, because you are now asking me to explain. What we know, and this is has been alleged, and I think it needs to be investigated.
Yeah.
Is that the superintendent was in charge of within the Malay Police Service, was in charge of one of the teams within the Malay Police Service that is alleged to have been responsible, and he was the head. Was alleged that he was responsible for the tear gassing of the headquarters of the Malay Congress Party when the leader of the Malay Congress Party was meeting the ambassador of the United Nations, of the United States, I beg your pardon, this was Virginia Palmer. It was alleged that he was leading that company. And we understand that he was deliberately targeted at Nsundwe. He was deliberately targeted as revenge.
It's easy.
I'm trying to explain.
Yeah.
He was deliberately targeted to revenge that incident that took place at the headquarters of the Malay Congress Party. He was not even armed. It was not that there was violent demonstration. He was actually pleading with the demonstrators for calm. They stoned him to death. Look at the facts. They stoned him to death. They took photographs, video, sent it on social media. The leader of the Malay Congress Party thereafter went to Nsundwe and thanked the people for a job well done.
Can I just come in there?
Remind us of the old ACP. Remind us of...
Honorable Atupele, Isan Jaunju, a top boss at ACP,
yes,
was killed.
Yes.
He was a Muslim.
Yes.
You don't talk about that. No. You choose to talk of Imedi, who was killed in Isundwe, because that's where MCP is popular there.
Look,
why are you using faith to talk about Imedi and not Isan Jaunju?
I have never used faith to advance politics. All I did was to mention the facts. The facts are, I'm explaining, and I hope you allow me to explain, because the opportunity of this interview is for me to explain. I just presented the facts. I said Mehdi was a police officer that was killed in the line of duty. Fact. Mehdi originated from the eastern region. Fact. Imedi, Superintendent Mehdi, may so rest in peace, was a Muslim. Fact. That is it.
Okay, so
I have no idea.
I'm giving you another scenario.
I have no idea.
Isan Jaunju, a Muslim, was also killed mysteriously.
Absolutely.
Until today, we don't know what happened.
Absolutely.
So you choose to ignore. Why are you not talking about Isan Jaunju and you keep on talking about Imedi?
Because we are talking about what has characterized the last 11 months of violence, issues that need to be investigated.
So does Isan Jaunju.
Indeed, absolutely.
He has been killed under Mutharika administration.
Well, look, again, you're pointing fingers, trying to advance. This was an incident that occurred, a pure murder that occurred and is being investigated. This particular incident, with respect to late Superintendent Imedi, was to do with demonstrations. I am referring to the activities that are well documented that have occurred during this period of demonstrations. We can talk about in history so many killings that have been alleged, but I'm specifically talking about the violence in the last 12 months.
Unfortunately,
and apparently when I do that, I should not talk about it. For example, it is a crime, apparently if I talk about that and call out violence that has occurred, is a problem. If I talk about a shooting of a young boy, a 7-year-old boy, is a problem. But apparently doesn't fit into the narrative of the opposition. But these are facts. It is also a fact.
With due respect, we are running out of time.
It is also a fact that the same party at MCP has a history of violence, murders, religious intolerance. We had Jehovah's Witnesses that were chased out of Malawi. We had Muslims in this country that were unable to practice their faith. That is a history of MCP.
What I'm saying is, when you're talking about death, you should also remember that under Mutharika administration, people have also died. And I'm giving you an example of Isan Jaunju. But let's move on. We have been here for so long. You keep on, you are promising data to school leavers and graduates. Hearing Mwanamvega speak in Parliament when he was presenting the national budget, he didn't talk anything about free data to graduates and school leavers.
Again, Brian,
Yeah.
I hope I have the opportunity to explain.
Yeah.
His Excellency the President launched what we call the ICT for All. This was in 2018, and this came on the backdrop of the fiber optic backbone phase 1 that has come right across the country. We're now in the process of phase 2 of the fiber optic backbone that will see internet access throughout the whole of Malawi. We'll have the fastest internet access. And the ICT for All, the towers have been constructed, and we will see in the next few days the Minister of Information launching it in the first phase in Monkey Bay, where also 3,000 phones will be distributed free to communities in Monkey Bay, and this will be scaled up. This is part of an arrangement with Huawei, where it would also include, part of the ICT for All, access to tablets, phones. We would like to digitize the nation. This is a key pledge of His Excellency the President. This is within the budget, but may not have necessarily formed the minister's speech. It is nothing new. The issue of data is that we are now in a period of coronavirus. We now need to start looking at how we can build Malawi's economy in the new global context. We think coronavirus will be around for some time. We have to think about e-learning, e-education, e-commerce. We think millions of jobs will come from e-commerce on the background of the fiber optic network that will be put in. We think a lot of jobs will be created there. We believe that also young learners should have access to data, especially when they graduate from school. But this is not necessarily will be done by the government. This is an arrangement with Huawei. This happens in other countries where the government can support such an initiative, where 6 months after finishing school, they should have access to free data. As government rolls out with Huawei the program of ICT for All, which will include free.
You meant it.
Oh, absolutely.
That people will be given free data.
No, it's not everybody. I just said you have to contextualize.
Yeah.
We're looking at e-education. I'm a digital a guy. I'm a 51-year-old. I'm a 41-year-old digital savvy politician. I believe in digitization. That's why I spearheaded during my time in government the national ID when I was Minister of Home Affairs, and that is why last year His Excellency and I launched the e-health with the
health respect, situation. We are running.
So I believe in digitization.
You believe in digitization.
I believe in digitization,
and I appreciate that.
And I think this is the future. We have to digitize. And I think this is the growth for Malawi. E-commerce is the future for creating jobs, new markets, and I think Malawi will be extremely well positioned to have the fastest network.
You are bashing MCP and UTM lawyers for claiming legal fees. You're saying the bill is not fair. You're not commenting on the 600 million kwacha legal fees for make lawyers from South Africa. Is that fair?
Well, look, that never rose, okay? That was, you've just quoted, you just said it was unfair and there was an issue with 600 million.
Yeah.
But you don't seem to have an issue with 9 billion.
So why are you not talking about the 600 million?
It's non-existent. There's no claim for 600 million.
There is no claim?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that never rose, right? That was dealt with. But we are now talking about a claim for 9 billion.
So you have a problem with that?
Don't you?
And you deliberately don't want to talk about it.
Don't you have a problem? Can you equate 600 million with 9 billion kwacha? Do you know how many schools, how many roads we can build with 9 billion? Really?
Honorable Muluzi, June 23 is coming. Are you okay with the date for elections?
I think we're ready.
You're ready?
Absolutely, we're ready. His Excellency the President is ready. I'm ready.
Looking at what happened in Parliament, bringing new bills, people thought that the DPP administration was deliberately trying to delay the elections?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I think the issue here, Brian, is the credibility of any election. We need a credible election. We need a credible result. And it's really asking the experts what it would take to have a credible election. And my take on it is that you need to make sure that the Electoral Commission has a credible election within the laws of Malawi, so that after the election results, when we win, we know we have a credible result and a credible mandate. So with respect to that, I think the issue was to make sure that it's within the law, it's constitutional, that at the end of it all, someone doesn't come back and say you've done something illegal.
Would you encourage President Mutharika to concede defeat in an event that you have lost the June 23 elections?
The president is a Democrat and is demonstrated to all Malawians that he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
And he respects the rule of law. I think it's without question that the president will abide by the outcome of the elections, and he has done so. But I believe we are winning these elections.
You are certain?
I'm very confident. Certainly.
I want you to give a minute, and I want you to look at that camera. Why someone polling on that day should tick the box for President Mutharika and you being running mate for president?
His Excellency the President has demonstrated leadership and continues to lead. We understand that a lot of good things have happened and have been done well under his leadership. And there are other things that we need to also address and do better. His Excellency the President and I are wanting to instill renewed hope in the people of Malawi. We are very focused on ensuring that we further strengthen our institutions of government so that they're a better place to deliver services to the people of Malawi. We're keen to create jobs for the youth and to train the youth in new skills. We're keen to end hunger in the next 5 years and reduce and completely eliminate absolute poverty in the next 5 years, which is possible. We believe that we can build the necessary infrastructure for that. We're looking at a railway from the north to the south. We're looking at roads that will also help in transportation. We're looking at energy and ending blackouts within the next 5 years with the construction of new power plants right across the country. We're looking at e-commerce. We're looking at new job opportunities. We're looking at a better future for Malawians. And we're also very keen to end child marriage, which is also a key catalyst for young girls falling pregnant and not continuing school. We will be constructing secondary schools around the country. We are introducing MEDEF loans to stimulate economic activity. We are geared to renew the hope.
Unfortunately, time is not on our side. What are you reading this week?
I'm reading Team of Rivals by Abraham Lincoln. He was a great American president, and he demonstrated the ability to work together despite differences in political parties and ideology. And I think this is something that we can learn from Abraham Lincoln, how he managed to bring people together. And His Excellency the President is also very keen to see continued unity in the country. Right,
Honorable Atupele Muluzi, President of the United Democratic Front, running mate for DPP-UDF Alliance, and our Minister of Energy. Quite intriguing, I must say, hearing you talk. We wish we had more time. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Brian. Thank you very much.
Well, on that note, we conclude this week's edition of the program, Times Exclusive. In this edition of the program, I've been talking to Right Honorable Atupele Muluzi, President of the UDF, a running mate for DPP-UDF Alliance, and our Minister of Energy. My name is Brian Banda. From all of us here in Blantyre, thanking you for joining us tonight, and goodbye.